Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, your hosts. They are managing partners at Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, offices in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, and Gastonia. They are practicing attorneys here in the great state of North Carolina. Our special in-studio guest is Cassandra Nicholas. She is also an attorney at Whitaker and Hamer. We moved from Skittles to the Murdaugh case, and this, again, is just, it is made for, we're going to see some kind of TV show out of this, but I can't wait to get the update.
Before we get there, Morgan, I'm still stuck on this candy, our Skittles debate here. I was just reading that some other candies don't rely on the, titanium dioxide. Mm-hmm. So they got a list here of candies that are brightly colored but don't rely on the titanium dioxide to get that effect. But one of them was Nerds. And I remember as a kid when Nerds, because Nerds haven't always been around, right? I remember when I was a kid, Nerds were new. It was a new candy. And who would have thought Nerds would still be around?
They're great. If I was going to eat a candy, it'd be Nerds way before Skittles.
Joseph?
Josh, I'm not a Nerds guy. Nerds fall into the same category as Skittles for me, where they are a sweet candy that doesn't have chocolate in it. And but again, my kids love the Nerds. Big fan of the Nerds ropes, pretty much any type of Nerds. So we buy a lot of them. I just don't eat them.
Do your kids, when they get, this made me think about Pop Rocks. Do you ever get this for your kids? Pop Rocks?
Occasionally.
Do they eat them or do they just put them in stuff?
No, they put them in their mouth. That's where you're supposed to put them, Josh.
My kids get them, and again, I think social media has conditioned them to where they get them. They put them in like soda or they put them in stuff because they want to see they're supposed to do something.
Chemical reaction.
Yeah.
Do something? Explosion, maybe?
You get that in your mouth too, though, man. It pops. It's a very satisfying pop.
Like my kids are very irresponsible when they get candy. They don't get candy a lot. And they're very excited when it happens.
Learn
my
from your
kids, man,
parents.
you give them some candy, they got no moderation. They're gonna blow it out, and then they're gonna drive you crazy for the next however long that sugar rush lasts.
We got one kid, we have to hide his candy. He is not responsible enough. And by I mean, like, even on a kid level with candy, he is not responsible enough. So he is given the amount of candy it's acceptable for him to eat. And then we have to super duper hide it from him. So
Nice.
but anyway, what's this guy's name?
Alec Murdaugh.
I cannot call him Murdaugh the way his name's spelled. But for a while there, that's all you heard about. This guy's was on every criminal podcast. He was in every news outlet was covering him.
Including this podcast, episode 29, hosted on wh.lawyer. It's one of our older episodes, so it's not on our YouTube channel. Which
is that the real episode number? And you knew that?
I might have looked ahead of time.
You're amazing.
Research.
That's what this show desperately
You've clearly been
needs.
consuming a lot of titanium dioxide. Your brain is operating at full capacity.
So we've spent a lot of time talking because it's fascinating. You know, this is the kind of story. This is an attorney, a millionaire attorney in a town where his family had been prominent for a long time, and his kind of fall from grace when you look at it in contrast, and the crimes that he's accused of are kind of spectacular in nature and it certainly draws people's attention. So this was under the microscope for a long time. It's been a little bit quiet on that front for a while, but this week he got new charges. What did he get charged with, Cassandra?
He was finally indicted with the murders of both his son and wife from last summer. He's been in jail since last October on a bunch of other financial crimes, but this is the first like vicious, dangerous thing he's been really charged with.
And you may know this, Cassandra. I was trying to look into it and I didn't find it before it was time to get on the radio, get on the mic here, but they got a murder weapon. They've got bodies. I guess they found the bodies, but I don't know what the theory. And I guess that's part of the thing. The prosecutor bringing the charges has been very quiet on any new evidence or anything that's come to light since that. Because this happened. I mean, this is a year ago.
Mm-hmm. June 2021 is when they were murdered. I don't believe they have the murder weapons. They do know that 2 separate weapons were used, which I think is one of the reasons it took so long to narrow it down to actually charging Alec with the murders. But he did have gun residue on his hands. And then the newer evidence that I've heard is also high velocity, blood spray on his clothes, suggesting he was nearby when they were shot, whether it was him or not. So he was finally indicted. Interestingly, his attorneys that are representing him on these charges were his son Paul, his murdered son Paul's attorneys, related to a boating accident where he was driving and a passenger died. So that's an interesting potential conflict where his attorneys are representing him in the murder of their former client.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I thought you were going to stop at murdered son and say his murdered son was his attorney, like the ghost of his murdered kid. And that would have been a really interesting story.
His living son is in law school or trying to get back into law school.
A kid better watch out, man.
So Murdaugh.
Yes.
It's Murdaugh. I'm just going to start spelling it Murdaugh. So Murdaugh is, he's, I don't know what he's really admitted to at this point in his other crimes, or if he's admitted to anything. I think there was some. Anyway, he's constantly proclaimed his innocence in these murders.
Yeah. His attorneys the entire time have said that he's got an ironclad alibi. But now there's also video from his son Paul's phone from that evening of them just like joking around. But the timestamp on the video shows that he was definitely there with them. So holes being poked in that ironclad alibi.
So he's been in jail. So today we're in the studio on Wednesday. I think today is a bond hearing.
I believe so.
Yeah, and he's already in prison. He's already being held on his 70 plus other charges.
Yeah, I think it's over 80 now.
Oh, and these new charges, there's a bond hearing. And then we were just talking before we went on. Again, this is something that just happened in the past day or so, but we didn't hear, or I'm not sure if they're seeking the death penalty as part of this or not.
Yeah, it is definitely available. We don't know yet if they will be seeking it. But that'll be an interesting situation too. So if it was just one murder unrelated to any other crimes, the death penalty wouldn't necessarily be available. But it's two murders, and they may be part of some larger scheme because he was implicated in other crimes at the time. So it could be a capital murder where the death penalty is available. But no one has been executed in South Carolina since 2011 because the lethal injection drugs haven't been available. But just last year, they have made in South Carolina the electric chair the default option for executions in South Carolina. They have also made firing squad available. They haven't yet used either one, but this is way down the road for the Murdaugh case. But those are interesting possibilities.
Which one of those do you pick, Josh?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems so. I have a big problem just from a professional standpoint. I have a big problem. I don't think the state really should be able to execute anyone because you give the government that kind of power, and they're going to do something wrong with it, right? I mean, it's a hard thing to come to grips with me. For me personally, I understand that it is an option in a lot of states. South Carolina, now I'll tell you, all the attorneys that are talking today on our show are licensed in North Carolina. We are not licensed in South Carolina. So the South Carolina law that me and Cassandra and Joe are talking about are just what we've been able to glean from the reports and kind of what's going on. But yeah, firing squad or electric chair. I don't like having to choose between those two. I can't imagine firing squad is the one I'd pick though.
I don't know. If I'm looking at a menu, I'm thinking about steak, potato. That's what I want to do. I don't want to have to pick on how I'm going out. That would be awful.
Joe, where'd you land on that?
Not committing a capital crime.
Right. Hey,
that's where I landed on it.
Well, that's goal one, right?
If it came down to it between firing squad and electric chair, oh man. Firing squad? Maybe that's quicker.
I don't know,
man. They both suck really bad. Inject me. To take your time, get what's needed to inject me, and give me that one. I think that's the one you take if you've got the choice.
It's just so bizarre, some of the things that are going on. Again, no matter what side of the political spectrum you fall on, no matter what you believe, things are. We've got you can't get lethally injected anymore. That seems weird. And Walmart.
Yeah, why can't we just
Walmart is only
somebody and just suffocate him? Like, I don't know. Isn't that better?
Walmart is only open for about 12 hours a day. I feel like we're
What
taking
is the state of this country?
I feel like I feel like things are changing for the worse. But anyway, this one will continue to be a national story. This will be one that continues to have people talking. And at some point, he's not pleading guilty to any of this stuff. So at some point, there's going to be a trial.
I might have to take a field trip.
Right.
The courthouse is only 3 hours away. However, I don't actually know where this one will be done because all of his other like financial crimes and everything have been handled by the state, the South Carolina State Attorney General, because of his like close ties to the solicitor's office in the county that I don't remember the name of.
Right.
But interestingly, the grand jury for these murder charges was the county grand jury, not the state grand jury.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough when him and his family were well connected, and so it's been interesting to see how all the conflicts take place. You know, his family's related to a lot of prosecutors, a lot of DAs, a lot of solicitors, and so I'm sure that's been interesting to watch that unfold. But there's going to be a trial, one heck of a trial, trials at some point because he's not pleading guilty.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll keep you up to date as things move on that one.
The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer. You can find them at Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. They have offices in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, and Gastonia. They're the managing partners of the firm. They're practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. And again, our special in-studio guest this week, Cassandra Nicholas, also an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer. So we move from Alec Murdaugh. We've got listener questions. And I look forward to these. And again, that's coming up next on The Outlaw Lawyer. If you've got a legal situation that you are facing, you can always give the firm a call. 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call is about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And you can email your questions to the program. Again, questions at theoutlawlawyer.com, and we will answer those on a future episode here of The Outlaw Lawyer. And you can always visit the website, theoutlawlawyer.com. We're back on the other side right after this.